The fuck? Oh, okay. Okay. Give me a second, chat. Oh, fuck. Wrong shit. Fuck. Man, I'm out of practice, dog. Alright, let's see here. Oh, of course. You want to update now. Alright, you piece of shit. That's fine. I'll just do my own thing. All good. "44 months, dude. Jesus Christ." How you doing, Edge? How you doing, Sassy? 44 months is a hefty amount of time. It didn't do its fucking really? Why does it break? Did you do it manually? God damn it. Shit. I don't know why it sometimes doesn't. You wouldn't be here if it weren't for Edge's announcement. Well, shit. You get a bot to do something, and then it just doesn't do it. Like, what even is the point? Technology, a horrid wretch, indeed. Oh shit, I should have been more considerate. Fuck. Edge. Ah, damn it. I mean, Edge doesn't like spooky story time anyways, so if I put Edge to sleep, it's not the biggest deal. Man, choosing this background is no better than choosing Xanax. Sorry, dude. Another 4 hours? What's in 4 hours? I can change it if it's easier when you go to bed. Yeah, but why? Certainly you're not staying up for little old me. A fucked sleep schedule? Okay, that's an answer I can accept. 'Cause you're off till Thursday. I mean, I guess you don't mind listening to the rain. You could stay up like when you were a teen. That's fair. Yeah, Sassy, I didn't do a lick of productive shit today. I woke up late, felt like shit. Got up, ate something, and then I was like, you know what? I'm gonna do an hour of Tai Chi outside. And I did. And then I felt much better. And then I went and I read the paper of a colleague for feedback, gave her the feedback, and then I was like, you know what? I'm gonna go downstairs and work out, because it's hot as hell. So I went 3 miles on the elliptical, and I did that. And then I was like, you know what? I'm gonna have dinner. And I did that. And then I walked Mom. And watched TV with Dad for a little bit, and I didn't do any work. I'm feeling pretty good. But after my hike tomorrow, I need to fucking work. Allow me to stress this as much as possible. I mean, I already earned the heaven cake. I will never not be happy that you take a break. Yeah, you, Tenchi, and a pretty good portion of the world apparently feel that way. Which I'm sure he appreciates that I remember, I hope. But those are insecurities for a different day. Brain. Yeah, so today was a break day. I needed it. This week was a lot. Next week I'm hoping is gonna be less. But yeah. We are doing traditional spooks tonight. If anyone has any requests, I will do my best to grant them. I was just honestly gonna poke around in these windows I've had open forever. I have Edgar Allan Poe, Chinese stories from, like, probably the Qing Dynasty, to be honest. The Necronomicon is up. Werewolf stories are open. Stories from New England, Native American folktales. I can't remember why I had Monsters of Celtic Mythology up, but I've got that up too. Whatever is cool with me, goddammit. Well, there's one of these called the Fish Hag, which I'm gonna save for a stream that's more fish-centric. 'Cause Lord knows I have plenty trouble finding stories about fish, so when I find one, I'm like, oh, fuck yeah. Got tons of Irish stuff up right now. God, I'm trying to do... I know some of us are in rockier places than others, so I'm trying to do lighthearted ones. Probably shouldn't go with the Chinese. Because a whole bunch of these are... about death. I haven't read a ton of Poe, but maybe that's because a ton of Poe isn't good. Hold on. Message found in the bottle, Descent into the Maelstrom. I have read The Black Cat, haven't I? I know I've read Fall of the House of Usher. I also have Dostoevsky here, which I've never touched. But I don't know if you guys want to listen to me read Russian lit. I don't know if I've ever read The Pit and the Pendulum, actually. Only one way to find out. Quote the squirrel, perhaps. You fuckers don't remember. No, I did read The Black Cat, because it ends with him trying to put the cat in the wall, and then the cat comes out, and the cat's fine, and that dude's just fucking destroyed. Alright. Let's go with The Pit and the Pendulum for now. Quatrain composed for the gates of a market to be erected upon the site of Jacobin Clubhouse at Paris. I was sick, sick unto death with that long agony. And when they were at length unbound me, and I was permitted to sit, I felt that my senses were leaving me. The sentence, the dread sentence of death, was the last of a distinct accentuation which reached my ears. After that, the sound of inquisitorial voices seemed to merge in one dreamy, indeterminate hum. It conveyed to my soul the idea of revolution, perhaps from its association in fancy with the burr of a mill wheel. This only for a brief period, for presently I heard no more. Yet for a while I saw, with how terrible an exaggeration, I saw the lips of the black-robed judges. They appeared to me whiter than the sheet upon which I traced these words, and thin even to grotesqueness, thin with the intensity of their expression of firmness, of immovable resolution, of stern contempt of human torture. I saw that the decrees of what to me was fate were still issuing from those lips. I saw them writhe with deadly locution. I saw them fashion the syllables of my name, and I shuddered because no sound succeeded. I saw, too, for a few moments of delirious horror, the soft and nearly imperceptible waving of those sable draperies which enwrapped the walls of the apartment. And then my vision fell upon the 7 tall candles upon the table. At first they wore the aspect of charity, and seemed white, slender angels who would save me. But then, all at once, there came a most deadly nausea over my spirit, and I felt every fibre of my frame thrill as if I had touched the wire of a galvanic battery, while the angel forms became meaningless spectres with heads of flame, and I saw that from them there would be no help. And then there stole into my fancy, like a rich musical note, the thought of what sweet rest there must be in the grave. The thought came gently and stealthily, and it seemed long before it attained full appreciation. But just as my spirit came at length properly to feel and entertain it, the figures of the judges vanished, as if magically, from before me. The tall candles sank into nothingness. Their flames went out utterly. The blackness of darkness supervened. All sensations appeared swallowed up in a mad rushing descent, as of the soul into Hades. Then silence, and stillness, and night with the universe. I had swooned, but still will not say that all consciousness was lost. What of it there remained I will not attempt to define, or even to describe, yet all was not lost. In the deepest slumber, no, in delirium, no, in a swoon, no, in death, no, even in the grave, all is not lost. Else there is no immortality for man. Arousing from the most profound of slumbers, we break into the gossamer web of some dream. Yet in a second afterwards, so frail that web may have been, we remember not that we have dreamed. In the return to life from the swoon, there are two stages. First, that of the sense of mental or spiritual, and secondly, that of the sense of physical existence. It seems probable that if, upon reaching the second stage, we could recall the impressions of the first, we should find these impressions eloquent in memories of the gulf beyond. And yet that gulf is what? How, at least, shall we distinguish its shadows from those of the tomb? But if the impressions of what I have termed the first stage are not at will recalled, then, after a long interval, do they not come unbidden? While we marvel whence they came? He who has never swooned is not he who finds strange palaces and wildly familiar faces in the coals that glow. Is he not he who beholds, floating in mid-air, these sad visions, that many may not view? Is it not he who ponders over the perfume of some novel flower? Is it not he whose brain grows bewildered at the meaning of some musical cadence which has never before arrested his attention? Amid frequent and thoughtful endeavors to remember, amid earnest struggles to regather some token of the state of seeming nothingness into which my soul had lapsed, there have been moments where I have dreamed of success. There have been very brief periods when I have conjured up remembrances, which the lucid reason of a later epoch assures me could have had reference only to that condition of seeming unconsciousness. These shadows of memory tell indistinctly of tall figures that lifted and bore me in silence down, down, still down, till a hideous dizziness oppressed me at the mere idea of the God damn it, Poe. Interminableness of the descent. There we go. Jesus. They tell also of a vague horror at my heart, an account of that heart's unnatural stillness. Then comes a sense of sudden motionlessness throughout all things, as if those who bore me, a ghastly train, had outrun, in their descent, the limits of the limitless, and paused from the wearisome of their toil. After this I called to mind flatness and dampness, and then all was madness, the madness of a memory which busies itself among forbidden things, Very suddenly there came back to my soul motion and sound, the tumultuous motion of the heart, and in my ears the sound of its beating. Then a pause, all is blank. Then again sound and motion and touch, a tingling sensation pervading my frame. Then mere consciousness of existence, without thought. A condition which lasted long. Then, very suddenly, thought and shuddering terror, and earnest endeavor to comprehend my true state, and a strong desire to lapse into insensibility, and then a rushing revival of soul and a successful effort to move. And now full memory of the trial of the judges, and the sable draperies of the sentence, of the sickness of the swoon. An entire forgetfulness of all that followed, of all that a later day and much earnestness of endeavor have enabled me to vaguely recall. So far I had not opened my eyes. I felt that I lay upon my back unbound. I reached out my hand and it fell heavily upon something damp and hard. There I suffered it to remain for many minutes. I strove to imagine where and what it could be. I longed yet dared not to employ my vision. I dreaded the first glance at objects around me. It was not that I feared to look upon things horrible, but that I grew aghast, lest there should be nothing to see. At length, with a wild desperation at heart, I quickly unclosed my eyes. My worst thoughts then were confirmed. The blackness of eternal night encompassed me. I struggled for breath. The intensity of the darkness seemed to oppress and stifle me. The atmosphere was intolerably close. I still lay quietly. I made effort to exercise my reason. I brought to mind the inquisitorial proceedings, and attempted from that point to deduce my real condition. The sentence had passed, and it appeared to me that a very long interval of time had elapsed. Yet not for a moment did I suppose myself actually dead. Such a supposition, notwithstanding what we read in fiction, is altogether inconsistent with real existence. But where and what state was I? The condemned to death, I knew, perished usually at the auto de fez, and one of these had been held on the very night of my day of trial. Had I been remanded to my dungeon to await the next sacrifice, which would not take place for many months? This I at once saw could not be. Victims had been in immediate demand. Moreover, my dungeon, as well as all the condemned cells in Toledo, had stone floors, and light was not altogether excluded. The fearful idea now suddenly drove my blood in torrents upon my heart, and for a brief period I once more relapsed into insensibility. Upon recovering, I at once started to my feet, trembling convulsively in every fibre. I thrust my arms wildly above and around me in all directions, and I felt nothing. Yet dreaded to move a step, lest I should be impeded by the walls of a tomb. Perspiration burst from every pore, and stood in cold, big beads upon my forehead. The agony of suspense grew at length intolerable, and I cautiously moved forward, my arms extended, my eyes straining from their sockets in the hope of catching some faint ray of light. I proceeded for many paces, but still all was blackness and vacancy. I breathed more freely. It seemed evident that mine was not, at least, the most hideous of fates. And now, as I still continued to step cautiously onward, there came a thronging upon my recollection, 1,000 vague rumors of the horrors of Toledo, of the dungeons. There had been strange things narrated, Fables, I had always deemed them, yet strange and too ghastly to repeat save in a whisper. Was I left to perish of starvation in the subterranean world of darkness? Or what fate, perhaps even more fearful, awaited me? That the result would be death, and a death of more than customary bitterness, I knew too well the character of my judges to doubt. The mode and the horror, the mode and the hour, were all that occupied or distracted me. My outstretched hands at length encountered some solid obstruction. It was a wall, seemingly of stone masonry, very smooth, slimy, and cold. Sorry, something distracted me. It was a wall, seemingly of stone masonry, very smooth, slimy, and cold. I followed it up, stepping with all the careful distrust which certain antique narratives had inspired me. This process, however, afforded me no means of ascertaining the dimensions of my dungeon, and I might make its circuit, and return to the point whence I set out without being aware of the fact. So perfectly uniform seemed the wall. I therefore sought the knife which had been in my pocket when led into the inquisitorial chamber, but it was gone. My clothes had been exchanged for a wrapper of coarse serge. I thought of forcing the blade in some minute crevice of the masonry, so as to identify my point of departure. The difficulty, nevertheless, was but trivial, although, in the disorder of my fancy, it seemed at first insuperable. I tore part of the hem from the robe and placed the fragment at full length, at right angles to the wall. In groping my way around the prison, I could not fail to encounter this rag upon completing the circuit. So at least I thought. But I had not counted upon the extent of the dungeon, or upon my own weakness. The ground was moist and slippery. I staggered onward for some time, when I stumbled and fell. My excessive fatigue induced me to remain prostrate, and sleep soon overtook me as I lay. Upon waking and stretching forth an arm, I found beside me a loaf and a pitcher with water. I was much too exhausted to reflect upon the circumstance, but ate and drank with avidity. Soon after, I resumed my tour around the prison, and with much toil came at last upon the fragment of serge. Up to the period when I fell, I had counted 52 paces, and upon resuming my walk, I had counted 48 more, when I arrived at the rag. There were all, then, 100 paces, and admitting 2 paces to the yard, I presumed the dungeon to be 50 yards in circuit. I had met, however, with many angles in the wall, and thus I could form no guess at the shape of the vault, for the vault I could not help supposing it to be. I had little object, certainly no hope, in these researches, but a vague curiosity prompted me to continue them. Quitting the wall, I resolved to cross the area of the enclosure. At first, I proceeded with extreme caution, for the floor, although seeming of solid material, was treacherous with slime. At length, however, I took courage, and did not hesitate to step firmly, endeavoring to cross in as a direct line as possible. I had advanced some 10 or 12 paces in this manner when the remnant of the torn hem of my robe became entangled between my legs. I stepped on it and fell violently on my face. In the confusion attending my fall, I did not immediately apprehend as to what startling circumstances, which yet in a few seconds afterward, and when I still lay prostrate, arrested my attention. What was this? My chin rested upon the floor of the prison, but my lips The upper portion of my head, although seemingly at an elevation less than the chin, touched nothing. At the same time, my forehead seemed bathed in a clammy vapor. A peculiar smell of decayed fungus arose to my nostrils. I put forward my arm and shuddered to find that I had fallen at the very brink of a circular pit, whose extent, of course, I had no means of ascertaining at the moment. Groping about the masonry just below the margin, I succeeded in dislodging a small fragment, and let it fall into the abyss. For many seconds I hearkened to hear the reverberations as it dashed against the sides of the chasm in its descent. At length, there was a sudden plunge into water, succeeded by loud echoes. At the same moment, there came a sound resembling the quick opening, and as rapid closing of a door overhead, while a faint gleam of light flashed suddenly through the gloom, and just as suddenly faded away. I saw clearly the doom which had been prepared for me, and congratulated myself upon the timely accident by which I had escaped. Another step before my fall, and the world had seen me no more, and death just avoided was that of a very character which I had regarded as fabulous and frivolous in the tales respecting the Inquisition. To the victims of its tyranny, there was the choice of death with its direst physical agonies, or death by its most hideous moral horrors. I had been reserved for the latter. But the long suffering of my nerves had been unstrung until I trembled at the sound of my own voice. I had become in every respect a fitting subject for the species of torture which awaited me. Shaking in every limb, I groped my way back to the wall, resolving there to perish rather than risk the terrors of the wells, of which my imagination now pictured many in various positions about the dungeon. In other conditions of mind, I might have had the courage to end my misery at once by a plunge into one of these abysses. But now I was the veriest of cowards. Neither could I forget what I had read of these pits, that the sudden extinction of life formed no part of their most horrible plan. Agitation of the spirit kept me awake for many long hours, but at length I again slumbered. Upon arousing, I found by my side, as before, a loaf and a pitcher of water. Burning thirst consumed me. I emptied the vessel at a draught. It must have been drugged, for I scarcely had I drunk before I became irresistibly drowsy. A deep sleep fell upon me, a sleep like that of death. How long it lasted, of course, I know not. But when once again I unclosed my eyes, the objects around me were visible by a wild, sulphurous luster, the origin of which I could not at first determine. I was enabled to see the extent and the aspect of my prison. In its size I had been greatly mistaken. The whole circuit of its walls did not exceed 25 yards. For some minutes this fact occasioned me a world of vain trouble, vain indeed. For what could be of less importance under the terrible circumstances which environed me than the mere dimensions of my dungeon? My soul took a wild interest in trifles, and I busied myself in endeavors to account for the error that I had committed in my measurement. The truth at length flashed upon me. In my first attempt at exploration I had counted 52 paces up to the period when I fell. It must have been within a pace or two of the fragment to the surge. In fact, I had nearly performed the circuit of the vault. I then slept, and upon waking I must have returned upon my steps, thus supposing the circuit had been nearly double than it actually was. My confusion of mind prevented me from observing that I began my tour with the wall to the left and ended it with the wall to the right. I had been deceived, too, in respect to the shape of my enclosure. In feeling my way, I had found many angles, and thus deduced an idea of great irregularity, so potent is the effect of the total darkness upon one arousing from lethargy or sleep. The angles were simply those of a few slight depressions or niches at odd intervals. The general's prison was square. What I had taken for masonry seemed now just to be iron, or some other metal, in huge plates, whose sutures or joints occasioned the depression. The entire surface of this metal enclosure was rudely daubed in all the hideous and repulsive devices to which the charnel superstition of the monks had given rise. The figures of fiends and aspects of menace, with skeleton forms and other really fearful images overspread and disfigured the walls. I observed that the outlines of these monstrosities were sufficiently distinct, but the colors now seemed faded and blurred, as if from the effects of a damp atmosphere. I now noticed the floor too, which was of stone. In the center yawned a circular pit from whose jaws I had escaped, but it was the only one in the dungeon. And then I saw, indistinctly and by much effort, my personal condition had been greatly changed during slumber. I now lay upon my back, at full length on a species of low framework of wood. To this I was securely bound by a long strap resembling a circingle? A circingle? I don't know what that word is. Hold on. A strap made of leather or leather-like synthetic materials. It's just a strap. Okay. I passed in many convolutions about my limbs and body, leaving at liberty only my head and my left arm to such extent that I could, by dint of much exertion, supply myself with food from an earthen dish which lay by my side on the floor. I saw to my horror that the pitcher had been removed. I say to my horror, for I was consumed with intolerable thirst. This thirst appeared to be the design of my persecutors to stimulate, for the food in the dish was meat pungently seasoned. Looking upward, I surveyed the ceiling of my prison. It was some 30 or 40 feet overhead, and constructed much as the side walls. In one of its panels, a very singular figure riveted my whole attention. It was the painted figure of Time, as he is commonly represented, save that, in lieu of a scythe, he held what, at a casual glance, I supposed to be the pictured image of a huge pendulum, such as we see on antique clocks. There was something, however, in the appearance of this machine which caused me to regard it more attentively, while I gazed directly upward at it, for its position was immediately over my own. I fancied that I saw it in motion. In an instant afterward, the fancy was confirmed. Its sweep was brief and, of course, slow. I watched it for some minutes, somewhat in fear, but more in wonder. Wearied at length with observing its still movement, I turned my eyes upon the other objects of the cell. A slight noise attracted my notice. And looking at the floor, I saw several enormous rats traversing it. They had issued from the well, which lay just within my view to the right. Even then, while I gazed, they came up in troops, hurriedly, with ravenous eyes, allured by the scent of the meat. From this it required much effort and attention to scare them away. It might have been half an hour, perhaps even an hour, for I could take but imperfect note of time, before I cast my eyes upward. What I then saw confounded and amazed me. The sweep of the pendulum had increased in extent by nearly a yard. As a natural consequence, its velocity was also much greater. But what mainly disturbed me was the idea that it had perceptibly descended. I now observed, with what horror it is needless to say, that its nether extremity was formed of a crescent of glittering steel, about a foot in length from horn to horn, the horns upward, and the under edge evidently as keen as that of a razor. Like a razor also, it seemed massy and heavy, tapering from the edge into a solid and broad structure above. It was appended to a weighty rod of brass, and the whole hissed as it swung through the air. I could no longer doubt the doom prepared for me by monkish ingenuity and torture. My cognizance of the pit had become known to the inquisitorial agents. The pit, whose horrors had been destined for so bold a recusant as myself. The pit typical of hell, and regarded by rumor as the ultima thule of all of their punishments. The plunge into this pit I had avoided by the merest of accidents, and I knew that surprise, or entrapment into torment, formed an important portion of all the grotesquerie of these dungeon deaths. Having failed to fall, it was no part of the demon plan to hurl me into the abyss, and thus, there being no alternative, a different and milder destruction awaited me. Milder. I've smiled in my agony as I thought of such an application of the term. What boots it to tell of the long, long hours of horror, more than the mortal, during which I counted the rushing oscillations of the steel, inch by inch, line by line, with a descent only appreciable at intervals. It seemed ages down, and still it came. Days passed, it might have been, and many days passed, ere it swept so closely over me as to fan me with its acrid breath. The odor of the sharp steel forced itself into my nostrils. I prayed, I wearied heaven with my prayer for its more speedy descent. I grew frantically mad, and struggled to force myself upward against the sweep of the fearful scimitar. And then I fell suddenly calm, lay smiling at the glittering death, as a child at some rare bauble. There was another interval of utter insensibility. It was brief, upon again lapsing into life. There had been no perceptible descent in the pendulum, but it might have been long, for I knew there were demons who took note of my swoon, and who could have very well arrested the vibration at pleasure. Upon my recovery, too, I felt inexpressibly sick and weak, as if through long inanition. Inanition? I'm not sure what that word is. Hold on. Edgar Allan Poe is still teaching me SAT words. Fucking hell. Exhaustion caused by lack of nourishment. Inanition. Inanition. Okay. Even amid the agonies of that period that human nature craved food, with painful effort I outstretched my left arm as far as my bonds permitted, and took possession of the small remnant which had been spared me by the rats. As I put a portion of it within my lips, there rushed to my mind a half-formed thought of joy, of hope. What business had I with hope? It was, as I say, a half-formed thought. Man has many such, which are never completed. I felt that it was of joy of hope, but I also felt that it had perished in its formation. In vain I struggled to perfect, to regain it. Long suffering had nearly annihilated all my ordinary powers of mind. I was an imbecile, an idiot. The vibration of the pendulum was at right angles to my length. I saw that the crescent was designed to cross the region of the heart. It would fray the serge of my robe, and would return and repeat its operations again and again. Notwithstanding its terrifically wide sweep, some 30 feet or more, and the hissing vigor of its descent, sufficient to sunder these very walls of iron, still the fraying robe would be all that for several minutes it would accomplish. At this thought I paused. I dared not go further than this reflection. I dwelt upon it with a pertinacity of attention, as if in so dwelling I could arrest here the descent of steel. I forced myself to ponder upon the sound of the crescent as it should pass across the garment, upon the peculiar thrilling sensation which the friction of cloth produces on nerves. Pondered upon all of this frivolity until my teeth were on edge. Down steadily it crept. I took a frenzied pleasure in contrasting its downward with its lateral velocity. To the right, to the left, far and wide, with the shriek of a damned spirit. To my heart, with the stealthy pace of the tiger. I alternately laughed and howled, as one of the other idea grew prominent. Down, certainly relentlessly down. It vibrated within 3 inches of my bosom. It struggled violently, furiously to free my left arm. This was only free from the elbow to the hand. I could reach the latter from the plate beside me to my mouth with great effort, but no farther. Could I have broken the fastenings above the elbow, I would have seized and attempted to arrest the pendulum. I might as well have attempted to arrest an avalanche. Down, still unceasingly, still inevitably down. I gasped and struggled at each vibration. I shrunk convulsively at every sweep. My eyes followed its outward and upward whirls, the eagerness of the most unmeaning despair. They closed themselves spasmodically at the descent, although death would have been a relief. Still how unspeakable. Still I quivered in every nerve to think the slightest sinking of the machinery would precipitate that keen, glistening axe upon my bosom. It was hope that prompted me, the nerve to quiver, the frame to shrink. It was hope, the hope that triumphs on the rack, that whispers to the death condemned, even in the dungeons of Inquisition. I saw that some 10 or 12 vibrations would bring the steel in actual contact with my robe. And with this observation there suddenly came over my spirit all the keen, collected calmness of despair. For the first time, during many hours, or perhaps days, I thought. It now occurred to me that the bandage, or surcingle, which enveloped me was unique. I was tied by no separate cord. The first stroke of the razor, like a crescent, athwart any position of the band, would so detach it, so that it would be unwound from my person by means of my left hand. But how fearful in that case the proximity of the steel! The result of the slightest struggle, how deadly! Was it likely, moreover, that the minions of the torture had not foreseen and provided me this possibility? Was it probable that the bandage crossed my bosom in the track of the pendulum? Dreading to find my faint, and, as it seemed, my last hope frustrated, I so far elevated my head as to obtain a distinct view of my breast. The surcingle enveloped my limbs and body, closed in all directions save in the path of the destroying crescent. Scarcely had I dropped my head back into its original position, when there flashed upon my mind what I cannot better describe, the unformed half of an idea of deliverance, to which I have previously alluded, and of which a moiety only floated indeterminately through my brain when I raised food to my burning lips. The whole thought was now present, feeble, scarcely sane, scarcely definite, but still entire. I proceeded at once, with the nervous energy of despair, to attempt its execution. For many hours, the immediate vicinity of the low framework upon which I had lay had been literally swarming with rats. They were wild, bold, ravenous, their eyes glaring upon me as if they waited but for motionlessness on my part to make me their prey. To what food, I thought, have they been accustomed in the well? They had devoured, in spite of all my efforts to prevent them, all but a small remnant of the contents of the dish. I'd fallen into a habitual seesaw or wave of the hand about the platter, but at length the unconscious uniformity of the movement deprived it of any effect. In their voracity, the vermin frequently fastened their sharp fangs on my fingers. But the particles of oily and spicy viand which now remained, I thoroughly rubbed the bandage wherever I could still reach it. Raising my hand from the floor, I lay breathlessly still. At first, the ravenous animals were startled and terrified at this change, at the cessation of movement. They shrank alarmedly back. Many sought the well, but it was only for a moment. I had not counted in vain upon their voracity. Observing that I remained without motion, one or two of the boldest leaped upon the framework and smelt at the surgical. This seemed the signal for a general rush. Forth from the well they scurried in fresh troops. They clung to the wood, they overran it, and leaped in hundreds upon my person. The measured movement of the pendulum disturbed them not at all. Avoiding its strokes, they busied themselves with the anointed bandage. They pressed, they swarmed upon me in ever-accumulating heaps. They writhed on my throat, their cold lips sought my own. I was half stifled by their thronging pressure, disgust for which the world has no name, swelled my bosom, and chilled with a heavy clamminess at my heart. Yet 1 minute, and I felt that struggle would be over. Plainly, I perceived the loosening of the bandage. I knew that in more than one place it must already be severed. With more than a human resolution, I lay still. Nor had I erred in my calculations, nor had I endured in vain. At length I felt that I was free. The surge single hung in ribands from my body, but the stroke of the pendulum already pressed upon my bosom. It divided the surge of the robe, cut through the linen beneath. Twice again it swung, and a sharp sense of pain shot through every nerve. But the moment of escape had arrived. At a wave of my hand, the deliverers hurried tumultuously away. With a steady movement, cautious sidelong, shrinking and slow, I slid from the embrace of the bandage and beyond the reach of that scimitar. For a moment, at least, I was free. Free! And in the grasp of the Inquisition. I had scarcely stepped from my wooden bed of horror upon the stone floor of the prison, when the motion of the hellish machine ceased, and I beheld it drawn up by some invisible force through the ceiling. This was a lesson which I took desperately to heart. My every movement was undoubtedly watched. Free! I had but escaped death in one form of agony, to be delivered unto worse than death in some other. But with that thought, I rolled my eyes nervously around the barriers of iron that hemmed me in. Something unusual, some change which at first I could not appreciate distinctly, was obvious, had taken place in the apartment. For many minutes of a dreamy and trembling abstraction, I busied myself in vain, unconnected to conjecture. During this period I became aware, for the first time, of the origin of sulphurous light which illuminated the cell. It proceeded from a fissure, about half an inch in width, extending entirely around the prison at the base of the walls, which thus appeared. It was completely separated from the floor. I endeavored, but of course in vain, to look through the aperture. As I rose from the attempt, the mystery of the alteration in the chamber broke at once upon my understanding. I've observed that although the outlines of the figures upon the walls were sufficiently distinct, that the colors seemed blurred and indefinite. These colors had now assumed, and were momentarily assuming, a startling and most intense brilliancy that gave to the spectral and fiendish portraitures in an aspect that might have thrilled even firmer nerves than my own. Demon eyes, of wild and ghastly vivacity, glared upon me in 1,000 directions, where none had been visible before, and gleamed in the lurid luster of a fire that I could not force my imagination to regard as unreal. Unreal! Even while I breathed, there came to my nostrils the breath of a vapor of heated iron. A suffocating odor pervaded the prison. A deeper glow settled each moment in the eyes that glared at my agonies. A richer taint of a richer tint of crimson diffused itself over the pictured horrors of blood. I panted, I gasped for breath. There could be no doubt of the design of my tormentors. Oh, most unrelenting. Oh, most demoniac of men. I shrank from the glowing metal to the center of the cell. Amid the thought of fiery destruction that impeded, the idea of coolness of the well came over my soul like a bomb. I rushed to its deadly brink, through my straining vision below. The glare from the enkindled roof illuminated its inmost recesses. Yet for a wild moment did my spirit refuse to comprehend the meaning of what I saw. At length it forced, it wrestled its way into my soul. It burned itself upon my shuddering reason. Oh, for a voice to speak. Horror. Oh, any horror but this. With a shriek, I rushed from the margin and buried my face in my hands, weeping bitterly. The heat rapidly increased, and once again I looked up, shuddering as with a fit of the ague. There had been a second change in the cell. Now the change was obviously the form. As before, it was in vain I had first endeavored to appreciate or understand what was taking place, but not long was I left in doubt. The inquisitorial vengeance had hurried by my twofold escape, and there was no more dallying with the King of Terrors. The room had been square. I saw that two of its iron angles were now acute, two consequently obtuse. The fearful difference quickly increased with a low rumbling or moaning sound. In an instant, the apartment had shifted its form into that of a lozenge. But the alteration stopped not here. I neither hoped nor desired for it to stop. I could have clasped the red walls to my bosom as a garment of eternal peace. Death, I said, any death but that of the pit. Fool! Might I not have known that into the pit was the object of the burning iron to urge me? Could I resist its glow? Or even that? Could I withstand its pressure? Now flatter and flatter grew the lozenge, with a rapidity that left me no time for contemplation. Its center, and of course its greatest width, came just over the yawning gulf. I shrank back, but the closing walls pressed me resistlessly forward. At length, for my seared and writhing body, there was no longer an inch of foothold on the firm floor of the prison. I struggled no more, but the agony of my soul found vent in one loud, long, and final scream of despair. I felt that I tottered upon the brink. I averted my eyes. There was a discordant hum of human voices. There was a loud blast as of many trumpets. There was a harsh grating of 1,000 thunders. The fiery walls rushed back. An outstretched arm caught my own as I fell, fainting into the abyss. It was that of General Lasalle. The French army had entered Toledo. The Inquisition was in the hands of its enemies. Literally a cliffhanger. So we have no idea what the fuck was in the pit. Except for rats. Alright, I've never read it before. I can see why. Not one of his best. Sounds like a weird fever dream. It kind of has that that flavor. Let's see. I might read something shorter because my voice is starting to fail. Apparently I was not as healed up in the throat as I assumed. Cool air. Wait a second. Oh no, we did read this one, I remember it. Okay. Alright, the color out of space is a long one. So we'll save that. Dreams of the Witch House we read. Shadow Out of Time, I don't think we have. Oh fuck, it's got chapters. Fuck that shit. No, that's later. Yeah, no, that's not a short one. Let's see. Man, Lovecraft does not do short, does he? I think I like Lovecraft slightly more than I like Poe. Not slightly. I like him much more, actually. Oh, yeah, no, this ain't short. Alright. Sassy. Remind me we're doing Mr. Lovecraft next time. But for now, let's do something a little bit easier. On the throat. Yeah, 9. Alright. Y'all have given me plenty of burb facts that I've yet to redeem. Let's see here. What can I give you? I'm curious about something. Give me just a second. Oh. I really need better headphones than the ones that I have. They put way too much pressure on my poor ears. That's not a you problem though. Ow. Here, let me look at this. Okay then. No. There's gotta be a different way to do this. Hold on. Somebody has subscribed to me on YouTube. That's bizarre. I don't know why the fuck you'd do that. Alright. Suit yourself, I guess. Look into getting those other muffins pieces. I can send them my way. Oh shit. I do have the links to them somewhere, but I never got them. You don't have to send them to me, Sassy. You need that more than I do. I'll get them. Just remind me. Remind me at like, I don't know. Four-ish tomorrow or something. Oh, what am I trying to do? Okay, yeah, but that's what you just shut down, isn't it? Oh no, okay, I can still get to it. Did I say AM? No, I meant PM. You do not need to be... Oh, that's interesting. Alright. Tales of remarkable birds. That's just a love letter to birds. Earthquake bird got its name. Unbalanced nature. Alright, we'll look into these. Sorry, chat, I'm doing a little bit of shopping. Pawnee I have. This I have. Yeah, no, I mean 1600. Not... Sorry, I spoke to you like a normal person. I didn't mean to. 1600, I mean. Birds. A bunch of idiotic things. Give me spooks about birds, damn it. Da, 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 da. 101 Curious Tales of East African Birds. Okay. Sure, I'll read the description of that. The bird scared the shit out of you yesterday. I got dive bombed by a red-winged blackbird the other day. They actually touched my head. To be fair, they should know better than to build fucking nests right next to a walking trail. Took off like a bat out of hell from like half a foot away. Yeah. They're not the brightest at this time of year. These are not accomplishing what I wish they were. Bird names and bird lores among the Pennsylvania Germans. That is oddly specific. Not the brightest at any time of year. That's fair. I'm not either. Bird lore, micrography, discographical publications. Oh shit, we got some old shit, chat. Alright, Auguries and Omens. That's from 2022. Yeah, you're just a fucking Wiccan hippie, most likely. I'll look at it, but I'm not. I am not fucking. I don't need to be downloading anything. What the fuck do you think I'm down? Lore. Yeah, I guess that's my fault, but... Alright, what are you... What are you trying to say? That's okay. This is rich on a lot of levels. I'm gonna look at this later. But let's see. Let's see otherwise. Okay, sorry chat, hold on. Okay, yeah, no, this is not what I'm looking for. I probably do have Blackfoot Tales already in here somewhere. Just gonna check. I most likely do. Don't. Okay. Okay. I'm just gonna put that there. Sorry. I'm almost done here. 101 Curious Tales of East African Birds. Huh? This seems academic. I don't want to read you guys academic shit. That's not fun. Yeah, no, this is a field guide. Okay. Bird names and lore. Well, this just looks fun. Bird stories from the burrows. That's more like it. Whatever. Birds of Pennsylvania. Curious Bird Lover's Handbook. The Poetry of Birds. Sure. Fuck it. I'll give it a shot. That's just art. Okay. Let's start here. Let's look at what the Germans have to say from Pennsylvania. You know, where all of the Germans are. 701 pages. Oh boy, chat. We're in for a treat. Where's the table of contents on this page? Okay. Oh man, is Zerp awake? Zerp is missing the time of his life here. I'm about to butcher all of the German. Alright, we want to go to 241. Which is going to be really difficult considering that I can't fucking see the page numbers. Did we freeze? We might have frozen. Okay, we're not there yet, but apparently wrens are called der Slaschlipper. Which is a glorious name for the wren. Well, that's just the house wren. Oh my god, there's so much German in here. I can't read any of this. Okay. Mockingbirds. Der Spottvogel. Used for a mockingbird. Okay. Family Member Day is distinctly American. Spottdrossel. Spottvogel. A mocker, one who ridicules, and spotter, for one who mocks. I'm so sorry, Zerp. Capper, Dumetella carolinensis. Der Spottvogel is the general name applied to the species. Yoder says that he found after passing 40 years that the bird, which they always called Spottvogel at Hagen's, really was the catbird. Press X to doubt. Der Groß Spottvogel, a name which distinguishes this species of the mockers and which sets the bird of slaty gray and black apart from the more colorful mockingbird and the brown thrasher. Der Katzvogel, the cat-voiced one, the common and distinct name. Many persons use both the general and specific name for this bird, hence Spottvogel and Katzvogel are the same bird. Lambert and Lenz gave Spottvogel as the general name and Katzvogel as the specific name. Hoffman was satisfied with Spottvogel for mockingbirds. Der Katzenmaunzer, also Katzemiaunzer, schmeißt sich an Nester und am Ende macht Mie. Oh no. Zerp! Zerp, help! Say schmeist. Schmeist. Say stim Anester on am and macht meh. I guess is what fuck. Brendel heard this in the Finland's Sumney town region. It suggested the bird is a ventriloquist as well as a mocker. That's actually really weirdly true. It calls attention to the voice which gave the bird its common name. Part of the name is based on the German meowen, mounsen, to mew, meow, or complain. You're not wrong. The PGs used to describe a monotonous complaining about inconsequential matters. So in Gemouns bin ich ledig, Meownse and Katzemeownse and Kadzig Meowns are used the same way. Der Regevogel, one report from Berks County, not wholly reliable, gives this name. The informant thought that he had heard a person refer to the catbird as der Spottvogel by this name. The nature of the bird's voice may have suggested this. Katzvogel may seem to be a translation of the English name for the species, but as is the case of the dialect name for the killdeer, it is the writer's opinion that this name, descriptive of the bird's voice, developed independently. Weird, but okay. Okay. That's not what we have to look at. I just got excited because I saw a catbird and I pulled over. This might be really fun to try to read with poor Zerp. Okay, I'm trying to get to the lore. Give me the lore. I want lore. Come on. This book is actually really interesting in and of itself. But I'm here for the spooks. I'm sorry. Dialect names. Jesus Christ. They can't possibly have lore. They absolutely have lore in this book. I fucking checked. It's from Pennsylvania. Of course it's got lore. You have lore. Well, technically you're from Chicago, but still. Here we go. Believe superstitions and saying. Lore. Have been gathered from a number of sources. Their occurrence is as varied as their presentation of them here. We make no attempt at interpretation, at fixation to time and place. Here they are as we found them. The most significant role played by birds in the life of the PG community, I'm assuming the Pennsylvania German community, was that they had to do with the weather and the change of seasons. The birds were nature's clock, calendar, and almanac. There's some truth to this. The day began with the first crowing of the cock and the song of the early bird, probably the robin. It came to a close with the vesper songs of birdland, the chickens going to roost, and the night voices of the orchard of the woods. The migration of birds at arrival and departure, which is as reliable as it is mysterious, marked the change of the seasons. Catbirds seem to always arrive near my house at, like, either April 31st or May 1st. And it's weirdly on the dot. Any prominent song or call and any significant or peculiar habit or mannerisms were the sign of a coming change in weather. Barnyard fowls and the birds of the heavens, the driving winds and the driven clouds, and the appearance and disappearance of the sun, moon, and stars of the vast expanse of clear blue sky in summer, and the gray skies of winter, the falling mists and the rains and the snow and the sleet, which swirled over the landscape, all were the visible parts of an invisible power, and it was believed that the birds could share some of the secrets with mortal men. All birds were created by the government. Well, it might have been the German government. I don't know what to tell you. There was, to them who had the eyes to see and the ears to hear, was it given to know the mysteries of the weather, of life and love and destiny, of health and fortune and death. There was faith and therefore belief, mystery and therefore superstition, and all were as honest as the people themselves. Beyond all this, they loved life and what they pleased, said what they pleased and did what they pleased. Hell yeah. And always the birds were a sign by which their life was guided. The early molting of domestic fowls is an indication of an early winter, or if chickens molt in August, the winter will be severe. If chickens molt in October, the winter will be mild. Wandile hinkel sich im Oktobermaus gibt in leichter Winter. Okay. Birds gathering in flocks unusually early in late summer, and early departure of birds indicates an early winter. That is, it means winter will arrive ahead of schedule. Es wintert früh or something. Chickens molt first on the fore part of their body. The early part of the winter will be severe. They molt first on the rear, then the end of the winter will be severe. Oh my god, these people are really staring at their chickens. If the chickens grow feathers on their lower legs and feet, it is an indication of a severe winter. Holy crap. Heavy down on the geese is a sign of a severe winter. That makes sense. Heavy coats of fur on animals and birds still considered signs of hard winter. That kind of makes sense. If, in fall, the feathers on the legs of the partridge extend almost to the claws, we may expect a severe winter. Holy crap, winter is really important to these people. The geese stand on ice on St. Martin's Day, November 11th. They will walk in the mud on Christmas. Okay, that's weirdly that makes sense, because every time it snows in October, it ends up never snowing in December. If the weather on St. Martin's Day is cold, fair and dry, the winter's cold will not last long. If the geese waddle in the mud between Christmas and New Year, they will do so every month of the following year. That is open ground. At that time means open ground all year. I hope that's wrong. Related to this is the belief that an open cemetery between Christmas and New Year means an open cemetery all year. That is, many burials or many open graves during the coming year. Yikes. There be ice in November that will bear a duck. There will be nothing thereafter but sleet and muck. God, fuck. I hate that that's probably true. When snow is on the ground, the turkeys go field, or the guinea hens hallow. There will be a thaw. Man, they really care about winter. Hootings of a screech owl in the fall is a sign that a severe cold spell is on the way. God damn it. For once I thought this was not going to be about winter. In the winter, it portends a thaw and mild weather. In summer, it is a portent of rain. The owl calls from the swamps and the lowlands. It's a sign that bad weather or warmer weather is coming. It calls from the hills. The weather will be clear and much colder. Huh. If in winter the crows congregate and scream and caw on the summer side, the south side of the hills, it indicates rain. If it's on the winter side, the north side, it indicates snow. Okay. If the crows call before 7 o'clock on a rainy morning, it'll be clear by noon. That is, rain before 7, clear before 11. Weird. The PA Dutch are farm folks, so winter's kind of a big deal for them. When to plant, how much to store, all that good shit. Yeah, but they're like putting their poor chickens under a microscope, being like, okay, how long is your feathers and how many of them have you lost? And the chicken's just like, I'm not a meteorologist. Fucking. If the crows fly in one direction in a steady and almost endless stream, a storm will follow within the next 12 hours. Lol, but it works. Does it? I mean, some of these do kind of work. Which is wild and has to be kind of... It's gotta be coincidence on some level. Or they know something we don't? I have no idea. Where do bird go? How'd they know about weather? Crows flying high up in the air foretell unfavorable weather. We've heard the exact opposite of this. When crows fly high, the weather is and will be clear and favorable. If they fly low and erratically, bad weather is impending. Okay, so there's disagreement about this. Little bird. I guess so. When the crows were flying low in scattered formation as if they were confused and lost, it is said that the air was heavy, the sky lowering, and that bad weather was coming. Crows usually did this when the weather was already bad and the sky was overcast and misty. I'll BRB, I think the hydration is kicked in. No problem. Oh, I'll BRB. I read ill burb. Whoops. Well, we see what we want to see. Wild geese flying south in early fall indicates that the cold wave is on the way. That makes sense. Their flight was a sign of the coming of snow, but if they flew very fast, steadily, and in good formation, as though pressed for time and eager to arrive in the southlands, it was a sign of a sudden cold spell. Okay, then a whole bunch about Canada geese. The van is led by an old gander who every now and then pipes his well-known honk, as if to ask how they come on, and the honks of all well are generally returned by some of the party. That is a really good description of that, though. Their course is in a straight line with the exception of the undulations in their flight. When bewildered in foggy weather, they appear sometimes to be in great distress, flying about in a regular manner, and for a considerable amount of time over some quarter, making a great clamor. On these occasions, should they approach the earth in a light, which they sometimes do to rest and recollect themselves, the only hospitality they meet with is death and destruction from a whole neighborhood already in arms for their ruin. Holy shit! I guess the Germans don't like the cobra chicken. Fuck. Restless and noisy goose are the sign of rain or an impending storm. Or if the geese and ducks splash their wings in the water, it is going to rain. That is not true. Any restlessness among domestic fowls, the calling of the crows and noisy crows, the English sparrows, were signs of coming rain. No. When it begins to snow in the fall, it said that the people along the Blue Mountains were plucking their geese. In English lore, it was the old ladies plucking her goose. The cry of the peacock? The peacock? Fucking sassy. Are there peacocks in Pennsylvania? Because I don't think so. The cry of the peacock, the hooting of the owl at dusk before dark, and immediately after daybreak, the call of the whippoorwill, killdeer, the cuckoo, the turtle dove, and the drumming of the grouse and the woodpeckers are all indications of rain. Holy crap. If wild geese fly high in the air, warmer weather is coming. If they fly low, it means colder weather. The northward flight of Canada geese late in the winter and early spring was a sign of warmer weather. And swallows fly high over the fields. It is a sign of favorable weather. If they fly low, it's a sign of rain. That might be true. Low over the meadows and ponds. It could be a sign of rain, because they're after bugs. I had heard this in Lehigh County. Vogel quotes the following from Tyrol. Fliegen die Schwalbenhock beduten sei gutes Wetter. Fliegen sei nahe am Boden kommt Regen. Maybe. If robins sit on the topmost branches and sing, it indicates clear weather. Lower branches rain. There might be some truth to that. When the wrens whistle around the house, rain is sure to come. Well, I feel like they do that more often in rainy weather, but I'll pay attention to that. When the heron flies up the stream, it searches for water. If it finds some, it will stay for some time, and rain may be expected. If it returns soon, it has found no water, and a dry spell will follow. That's just smart, because they can't fish if there's no water. What did I call you? I have no idea. The appearance of wild ducks or herons anywhere except along large watercourses indicates rain for several days. I mean, maybe it could mean that there's already flooding. And then there's a whole bunch of German. Chickens take extra pains in oiling their feathers just before rain. I could believe that. Chickens run and seek shelter when it begins to rain. The rain will not last very long. What makes you say that? I guess I haven't been around chickens enough to know if there's truth to that. When the chickens walk around in the rain, it means that more rain is coming or the rain will continue for some time. Also, when the chickens stand in the rain with their tails down, it'll be a long rain. Okay. When the chickens in the rain have their tail feathers down, it'll continue to rain until they raise them. Oh my god. When the roosters sit on the fence, it's a sign of rain. If the chicken scratches its left testicle, it'll rain. No, I'm kidding. When the crowing of the cocks before 9 in the evening, indicates rain. Usually it indicates rain by morning. Okay. The cry of the peacocks, what peacocks, in the evening indicates rain. The thunders on Sunday, goose eggs will not hatch. Okay. If there are thunderstorms early in spring, the geese will be easily raised. Thunderstorms in early spring tend to addle hatching eggs. Warm weather in connection with early spring showers tend to spoil eggs, meat, and milks for careless people. That might just be common sense. More German. Even more German. When domestic fowls take a dust bath, it is a sign of rain. Okay. The first robin or the first bluebird or song sparrow indicates the approach of spring. Okay, that's true. The first call of the whippoorwill and the phoebe is a sign of spring. This holds true for any... Oh, I'm not even going to try to say that word. Freyahiastervogel. The arrival of other species that are on indicated the approach of subsequent seasons is indicated by an earlier chapter. One swallow did not make a summer, but when several were seen together, it was a sign that summer was at hand. If the oriole hangs her nest high in the tree or on the treetop, the summer will be quiet. But if she hangs it low, the summer will be stormy or windy. That makes sense, but how would she know? If I wanted lore, I'm getting lore. I'm getting so much lore. Okay. Here's like golden eggs. There's a whole bunch of thing about a goose bone here. I want to see if there's anything. Health and destiny. Here we go. And that's where I'm going to call it. Yeah. That's where I'm going to call that. For now. Hold on. Because my computer is running out of charge. So what I'll do is I'll switch to actual birds. It has been most enlightening. It has been, and I've been talking for a long time. Just gonna download some of this shit before I forget. This reminds me I should probably do another sweep for my occult library. Convert that to a PDF. All that Hexburg German pronunciation really takes a lot out of you. God, Zerp, I'm so sorry. When you watch the VOD, I'm so fucking sorry. I tried my best with what I had, and I didn't have very much. Micrography, discography. What the fuck are you talking about? I'm gonna need a trigger warning. Remind me to warn Zerp that the scariest thing about the spooks was my German pronunciation. And it was really quite frightening. The Ornithology of Shakespeare. Holy fuck. Okay. Do we give a shit? I guess we can give a shit about the Bible. Maybe. Maybe. Nature's Kids. Sure, why not? The Owl and the Nightingale. What is this about? Illustrations. I don't know what the fuck that's about. I'm not gonna care. What is this I know about? Curious Book of Birds. You called it curious, so now I'm curious. Imagination and experience. Can you be a little more specific? Oh, this is just someone thinking about birds. Dude, I do that for free. Okay, hold on. No, that's not what I meant. I want this. There should be under F. Oops. I kind of fucked up that. That's fine though. I'll find it. Okay. So what we're really looking for is in here. Yep, there it is. Okay. Alright, so I'll just keep that. Open. Sorry, I'm almost done. Here. It's less spooks and more literature with Wolfie, isn't it? Which I guess isn't a bad thing. Ah, sorry. This happens every time. Just making sure I have what I want before I put this down and potentially fail to return to it. Alright. Yeah, I've seen enough. I'm satisfied. So, let's switch gears here. My eyes are so fucking angry. Okay, I'm gonna do this. Sorry. Oh, that's why I'm having trouble. Okay, so then, what am I looking for then? Oh, shit. Okay, no, that was fine. One second, Sassy. I'll be there in just a second. I've successfully yanked out my headphones as well. What little good they were doing me. Alright. Had hello walkies, I've got water and ibuprofen in me, and you're thoroughly enjoying the rain? Hell yeah. Yeah, I know you're dreading tomorrow, Edge, I'm sorry. Well, alright. Don't worry. Let's see what we like. Please don't do what I'm dreading you're gonna do. Actually, I'm just gonna preemptively do this. Okay. Does everyone like this rain? I can change the rain if you don't like it. Oh, I guess we have thunder too. Okay, cool. It's fine. Awesome. Alright. $57. Well, I've just been dropping frames the whole time. Have you guys been hearing me okay? I guess so. You can't hear it. Motherfucker. How's this? Alright. I have an idea. I've already dicked my idea. Okay, hold on. Hopefully everyone can hear everything. I can barely hear myself think. That is doing nothing for me. Okay. Alright, I'm just gonna go deaf. It's fine. You can hear Rain and Wolfie and Bird. You can't hear the inscription at all, huh? Shit. Alright, hold on. Face up, dude. Less than intact minus. Well, there's a lot of control associated with that. I'm gonna go with this. You can't even hear the tiles you're clicking. What the hell's going on? I shouldn't be clicking tiles. Oh, fuck. Is everything broken? Is this any better? Oh, screamy boy. Here we go. Okay, I'm gonna grab you. Screamy boy hype. Nice. Okay, so that's one at least. don't want to do that. Toot my voice ain't tired. How's that? Really? How? Alright. I don't want you. Sure. Okay, he stole that. I want the osprey. I shouldn't have the osprey. Hoping he'd take the osprey. Yes, I'm dreadfully aware that I'm running out of time to do the thing I fucking... Miscalculated. Alright, well then I'm just gonna discard this nectar, because... This is not going the way I was hoping it was gonna go. Alright, I'm gonna grab you. I don't want to deal with you, and I don't want any more cards. That's great. Man, Screamy Boy is a busy guy. Alright, I could just keep laying eggs. That might be the... 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. I'm gonna sacrifice this. Actually, no, I don't need this. I'm not doing that. I'm gonna do that because I can. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Never mind, I'm not going to do that. What I will do is I'm gonna go do. I'm gonna spend my last nectar to go doot. I'm not gonna do that. And Screamy is gonna get more scream. And he didn't even try. Fucking... Well, shit, dude. I don't want that. What I now need to do is I need to shovel as much food into life as I can. Great, thanks. I'm gonna grab you. We need fish and we need wheat. Screamy Boy should be the new burb fact cash-in for top kicks. Oh god. Honestly, that would be pretty fitting. Less than 75 and tuck it. Yeah. God, he hasn't succeeded once. I have one turn left. Oh. I know this is the better. Oh, no, no, no. I thought you meant, like, to set an alert for that. No, 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 no. I would be doing that very quietly. 90%? Hell yeah. Alright, so we tied. That doesn't bode well for me. I'm doing well for Nectar. Okay, I did win. We'll do one more. Total birds. Birds with cavity nests and birds with tucked birds. Alright. Oh, fuck. Okay. I'm not gonna lie. You guys suck. Okay. Don't you dare take the spotted owl, so help you God. Oh, this is unfortunate. You're sleepy as hell. Yeah, no, don't worry about it. It looks like we're gonna be going over. Somewhat less than ideal. I don't have any field fuckers. No, you're not helping. Alright, I do have you. You're expensive as hell. But let me see what I can do. Alright, now we have no food. So tiring, but so damn fun, I bet. Except for lunch. I'm missing a few pages, but I think that's okay. Okayest cheesesteak? Aww. I'm sorry. Okay, we tied there. Oh, damn it. It took away my phone. Fuck. Alright. This wood duck houses more. This is worth more and easier. You're better. I mean, how many of those fuckers do we need? I'm not seeing the downside. Okay, that's fine. We know about that, though. Ah, shit. I didn't... Oh. Okay, we know about that. We know about you. That's all good. Okay. What do I need? I don't really need any of that. Alright, so we're gonna have plenty of tucked cards, which is good. Hi. I don't have enough eggs. Oh, the irony. I'm gonna discard a rat. help me. Oh my god, everything died. Except for the birds. There we go. Come on. Yes. Okay, we're gonna spend it from the one guy. I'm gonna pass that up, but that's okay, because he's not... That's not Mike Charlie right now. I'm gonna discard you just to get another egg down. I'm not gonna do that. I have plans. No. I'm gonna lose these guys, but we know that he doesn't have them either. Good. We need that. Alright, so what do we need? We need... I'm gonna try to get you to work. Alright, that works too. I don't want to deal with you. Birds doesn't have cards. I could just as easily do this. But I'm not gonna. I'm gonna try something else. Okay, it was worth a shot to see if I could get a nectar. Alright, that's fine. Both of you have been making bank. No, I need you to do that. Go doot. Okay, it literally didn't matter, but it's fine. We're gonna tuck all. And that should put us aggressively ahead. We might as well lay eggs because we can't take it with us. Oh, he didn't even try. Okay, I know we broke even on that last one. Good. Alright. I'm fucking tired. So I am going to transition this over to... Oh, hell yeah. Sassy posted turtle tax. Okay, I am going to go on the server and review the turtle tax. And get ready to... Oh, Jesus Christ. And I'm gonna try to wake up early tomorrow morning. In the meantime, do not eat or drink any questionable substances. Make smart decisions to not die. Dying is absolutely forbidden, and I will see all of you wonderful people at a later time. Take care, guys.